Hi goats. We have more yarn to unbox, by which I mean taking it out of the wash bags that it was just washed in. It's the yarn that I dyed, of course. And if I seem a bit distracted, sorry. Besides having besides having ADHD, my phone just randomly started calling 911 twice, and I stopped it, but I'm hoping like I don't get someone calling back going, hey, what's going on, which I'm like, it's fine, sorry, my phone just, it's never done that before. I think a button was pressed or something, but it's kind of scary. So anyway, time for yarn. I think we'll just do this like last time, where I ended up doing a like short part 2 that shows all the yarn hanging to dry the next morning. It will be easier to tell what the final form of this yarn will look like, probably because it's not on my cotton base. It wouldn't be a video out here without helicopters and airplanes. Thankfully, I think this is just an airplane, because a helicopter would be much louder. But anyway, oh yeah, you can't see him, but Vanros is out here this time. He's on my, maybe if he perched on the, I'm scared he would fall down if he perched on the fence back there. So he's just gonna stay on the arm of the chair. And anyway, this base is not my cotton base that I'm switching over to for right now, because I know I can get yarn in that base reliably. I love the Pleiades bases, which are my kind of bamboo elastic cotton blend that I got from the Vegan Yarns, or Vegan Yarn. I can't remember exactly what the website is, but it's great yarn. Just like I don't know when they're going to be back in stock with the bags, and I'd like to think about getting a box which has a lot more yarn, but it's a lot. It's a lot of yarn, but also a lot of money. So also, I'm not sure if the boxes are in stock right now either. So, but I do end up, I do have some left over from when I was mostly dyeing that, except it's in a slightly different base. It's like there's Pleiades Original and Pleiades Eco. I can't remember exactly what the difference is, but since this is the Pleiades Eco, and I haven't dyed any of that before, I didn't want to confuse people too much, so this is actually not going on the website. I don't mean to tantalize you, but but this is going to my first event in person, which will be in August. It's for the Morrigan's Hearth by the Koru Kathabodwe priesthood. I happen to live with 2 of their founding members in this house, so that's not why I, got in, but like, I am going to go, and I think living with them is why I know about it, and like, but yeah, I've gotten my workshop approved, so I'm going to teach people how to make a simple lace stitch using yarn that I dyed, and also have a chat about like how do I use yarn in a devotional practice, because it is a pagan polytheist event, so lots of people in that community will be there, which is exciting, because like I can't. One of my favorite things to do, like I'm sure people in my YouTube crochet audience have like spiritual, maybe pagan or the witchy leanings too, but like um, the main thing I focus on here is like the crochet audience. So we don't always go as deep into that, though it's always welcome on my channel, you know, talking about spiritual stuff. But this is a space where people are going deep into that, like the, you know, the polytheist, the devotional space. So I'll get to talk to people about, yeah, this yarn this colorway was dyed for this god, and yeah. So yeah. And I'm going to vend there too. I haven't gotten the vendor form hasn't come out yet, but I think it's just a sign up form, like, do you want to here pay the fee, whereas the workshop was like pitch your idea and then you might be chosen, which I was, so yay. Anyway. Given its pride, you can see that I'm filming with my front camera, so it's backwards. I could flip this if I had a video editor that I used, but I'm between those right now. So once again, this is not going to be edited. But anyway, this is my pride mug from a couple years ago from Target. It says "Cheers, Queers," and this is my seltzer water from Trader Joe's. Blood orange. Yum. And let's just get started on the first bag of yarn that comes to hand. I know that this group is going to love black and red yarn, so I dyed up a bunch of red champion. Oh, nice. And I'm gonna keep dyeing more of probably some on the cotton base too. I just ordered a bunch more from Knit Picks. Vanros is going to hand me one of the hangers that are right next to him. Thank you. Sometimes I have to double up on mesh bags because I have so much yarn at a time. Like, I can't dye 50 skeins at once, but I can dye like 14 or 15 of the full size ones, so that's cool. Helps me with like trying to get my stock up. Here's another skein of red champion. This one, luckily you can't really tell. Well, it has some bluish tints in it, but I was kind of mixing, I actually accidentally mixed in a color called Deep Space, which is like a navy, a really dark navy, because when I tested it on paper towels, I thought my jar of black and my jar of Deep Space were like, my jar of Deep Space and my jar of Raven, which is black, were switched, and then I think I was right the first time, or like had it reversed, so I ended up just using both of those jars and using them up so I can just mix the color that I know is black next time. I do have these colored washi tape things I put on top of the jars, but they've gotten dyed over, so like the yellow tape looks green and all the like purple, red, and dark blue tapes look the same. But I also dyed one of the colors I used for Vampire King, which I did dye more of that. I'm gonna have to dye more of it to put on the website too, but yeah, I ended up mixing up red and black, which is one of the colors I use for Vampire King, like all in one dye pot. So at least I had something that I knew had black dye in it. So I used some of that down on this end too. But yeah, I ended up only putting 2 skeins of Vampire King up on the website because the other 2, the purple, became their own colorway. I was like, yeah, these are really different. I want to make them like their own thing. And it wasn't just that they looked different. Like I kind of wanted to make a purple, like grapey color for Dionysus, who is one of my gods. I do have one that's kind of based on him, but I felt like we need to go in more of a like purple wine god direction too. So that's on the website if you want to check that out. The new colorway is called Song of Liberation, which is a line from a hymn that I wrote him. Oh right, I'm like, what am I doing? I need to put this on a hanger, which Banros has helpfully handed me with his goat hooves. I mean, you can't tell what he's doing off screen, so, or like it's like the heart that counts. I feel like he's doing it and he's helping in some way, even if it's not visually apparent. So, ooh, yeah, these are 2 more skeins of joy. I dyed 3 of them this time. The nice thing about this yarn is that it doesn't need as much like combing to detangle it. It just sort of like some of these little bits get kind of, I think because of the elastic, it gets twisted around on itself, but it's not really tangled, so you just like pull on those specific spots and it helps. So here's this colorway. It's I feel like there's a lot more of a yellow end than last time I dyed it. Like a long yellow side. I think I was afraid of like not having enough. But I also wanted to make sure that I dyed a red end this time, because the last time I did, it was a lovely color, but it was just like the red end was more just like golden orange. So this colorway is, I feel like I'm still refining it, like with many of my colors, but it's supposed to be like red, orange, yellow. And my second skein of that is in the same bag. With this base, I don't really need the elastics on, but I just put them on as kind of a gesture or something. Try to make sure all of them are all of the hangers are facing the same way. Ooh, this is something exciting and new that I did. So I watched Chemnitz Creations, CHEM, like chemical or chemist, and something she does is include a yarn mop in her dyeing sessions just for like spare yarn, and it's always like a one of a kind color, because it's just whatever spare yarn, spare dye. So whatever spare dye happens to be around, and like it's impossible for me to get all the spare dye onto one skein of yarn, because when you're dyeing plant fiber, there's just so much extra dye. Like it will look like it's bleeding because like the water will come out, but once it's had the 24 hours to set, then it's very unlikely that any fading or extra dye striking will happen to the yarn. But still, I thought it was a fun idea to just like clean up my space a bit with a yarn mop. So this is the first one. I thought it looked a lot more like golden red at first, but I guess some of that has faded or didn't end up being as strong as I thought. But it does have some golden red and then some black, so it's kind of like a pale smoky fire-ish. I used 2 yarn mops this time. This is when I dye my yarn in like batches of 2 usually, so this is when I was dyeing I think the first batch was Vampire King and Joy, so we have some of all those colors kind of here. It'd be cool to have a nice name for each of my yarn mops, because I want them to be included in like the poetry and like spiritual associations that the other yarn has. Sometimes I have to think about the name for a while. Another skein of Red Champion to take off the elastic. This way you can kind of see the whole process of what it looks like when it comes out of the washer. So I have to kind of stretch it a bit there. It's interesting how different bases have different challenges. Like with cotton, I can get really vibrant colors, but it's really hard, at least the way I do it, to get the yarn completely covered. So I've decided, well, it's just part of the process that I'm going to have white spots in the cotton yarn. And this one I can get this base I can get almost full coverage pretty easily, but it's harder to get it to be more vivid and like vibrant. It's still gorgeous, but yeah. I think this is the first Dionysus colorway that I did, Lover of the Sea. It's more based on his Minoan face, or like the Minoan face that we know in... I think this tree just dropped sap on this, so that's fun. It's very sticky. So, wow, that's a lot bluer than I expected. I'll show you in a minute. I wonder if seltzer water works to rinse my hands. So I don't really want to handle yarn I'm going to sell with like sappy hands, so. Orange seltzer water hands are fine though. But anyway, in my specific tradition, because there are many people who have Minoan inspired traditions. But anyway, this one is called Modern Minoan Paganism, or MMP for short. That's its name, not to imply it's the only modern Minoan pagan thing out there, but it's heavily based on what the gods and spirits tell us, and so we've gotten to know a face of Dionysus, who, it's interesting because like he can, like, this figure can sort of be other gods too, or just like blend into several different people, because that's how our gods tend to be. It's like a house of mirrors kind of. But yeah, one of the his names, or like one of the faces of this person god, is son of the sea, and then one of his other names is, or one of the gods he can be, along with his brothers could also be this person, is named Lover. So that's where Lover of the Sea came from as a name. This is a lot bluer than I expected, and it's not really showing on camera, but like, it's very navy. So I clearly used a lot more of the deep space than I expected with this batch. But I thought I would try to dye that this color again, because it's been a while. So I think it's sort of intended to like be a more of a black color at this end, but it doesn't look bad with the dark blue. Deep Space and Raven look exactly the same when they're in dye pots. I'm curious to see how Vampire King will turn out, because I think I had the same problem there, and it's supposed to be like deep reddish black. I have so much trouble with tonals, because like, or like with getting the same result with tonals, because I've tried to write down my recipes, but I found that I can't. It just doesn't work for me. So I kind of dye by feel, and like let the recipes kind of live in my body and mind, if that makes sense. So it's relatively easy to do like a gradient or a pride flag, because I have colors to compare, but a tonal is just like, how did I get this last time? Let me just kind of throw some dye at it and see if that works. Second skein of this. Oh, this is the third skein. Then we have other colors. This one does look a bit more black, but like it's still more in the purple family. Though like my black dye is very, it bleeds purple, so I expect that there's a lot of like purple dye in it. It's just very dark. And by purple I mean like blue and red. It's interesting learning what the colors, what the dyes are actually made of. Like there are certain primary dyes. It's the opposite. Okay. I think, oh cool, I think this is a skein of Vampire King, and also my second yarn mop. So let's look at that first. So this one was for Lover of the Sea and Red Champion. That was the second batch. And it has a lot more dye on it. Mostly in the colors you'd expect. But a little bit of yellow. Oh yeah, there. I like how there's kind of some speckling here with the red. I was trying not to be too conscious about what I was doing with this, just like use it to mop things up and see what happened. So it'll be exciting to see what it looks like when it's gained up. Yes, let's see how Vampire King turned out. Well, I see some red in the black, so I think it's that looks promising. Yeah, this is more or less how it's supposed to look. Like I know my cotton base right now looks very dark red, but this was closer to the original, I think. This just dark red and black tonal kind of, so I might try to go closer to this direction in the future. The search for Vampire King. Hydration break. Oh, good. I am filming. Okay, good. I was like, where's my time that I've been filming for? Am I even filming? Thankfully, I am. I've been filming for, as you can see, because I'm not going to edit this, 27 minutes, which is less time than I thought. So that's nice. I don't have the mini skeins this time, so. The third skein of Joy, looking like a mess, so that's okay. That's better. I'll go through and like actually deal with these twirly bits at some point, but my favorite part is probably where it transitions from yellow to red through this really golden orange. I would like to find a way to get both the yellow and the red looking more deep and kind of tonal, but I guess I will keep working on that, but it looks fine for now. Just I'm like, wow, that's very bright yellow. That's just the primary lemon yellow. It's so hard to figure out which way will actually be the right way to put these on with the others sometimes. So I'm like, the math lady sometimes, especially with spatial awareness things. It turns out I have more yarn than hangers, so I'm gonna have to double up, but let me get all my bags. 4 more bags with actually yarn in them, and that may be more than 4 skeins because I had to double up bags too. Another skein of Red Champion. I'm happy with how this batch of Red Champion came out. Even with the mix-up with the blue, the deep space, a little bit of deep space never hurt anything. got it in one that time. Since I don't have to comb these while they're wet, unlike the cotton, I can just go ahead and hang these up on the trees now and have them airing out and drying overnight, which is nice. If you ever get a tiny flower or seed or something in your yarn that I missed, it's because it was out here in the backyard. Another skein of Red Champion. I think this is the last one that I've dyed so far. And that's also my last hanger. So I'll set the other yarn just to one side and figure out how to double it up later off camera. But I need to dye a whole bunch of yarn, especially Red Champion, because I have a feeling it will be popular. Also, just like I want to have a full stall or whatever I'm doing. I've never vended before at an in-person thing, so there's going to be a lot of logistics to figure out. But also, it's a fairly safe place to do it. I mean, in terms of like a safe starter place, it's like people will be nice and they'll understand if I don't have all my stuff figured out. Third skein of Lover of the Sea. I was worried at first that this wouldn't come out pale green, like pale green enough, because I kind of poured on the green at first, but you really have to work to make the dye deeper on this yarn, especially sea foam green, which is a very pale green dye. So I like how it kind of transitions from this into the black. Oh, shame. Which is where I went recently, because I planned a beach day, and I'll probably just make that a monthly thing. So, because the beach is only like an hour's bus ride away, and I'm like, wow, I could do that for. It doesn't have to be very expensive. I can just go. So, been thinking about the ocean a lot lately, is what I'm saying. Here's another skein of Vampire King. There are definitely some strands that look more like they're loose in one part, and maybe they're tight in another part. I don't know, but it'll probably work itself out if it hangs to dry. So, and if not, I'll just twist it up, and like I feel like since people can see the skein both untwisted and twisted, they kind of know this is what you're getting. I don't think it will affect the actual using the yarn. Although, since this one is going to be sold in person, then like that way people will be able to see more about what this yarn is like. And here's, I think, the last skein of Vampire King that I dyed this time. I think this one goes up, and this one also goes up. So sometimes I'm like, which part of the donut is this? Which part of the donut, which is this, are these random loose skeins, loose threads part of? Anyway, this This came out nice. I like the hints of like reddish berry type color, and then there's the deep blue, black, purple. I try to keep Cloak of Dreams and Vampire King sort of distinct, but they end up being very close sometimes. But Cloak of Dreams is more like bluish black, but also hints of red, maybe. And then Vampire King, it's definitely a dark reddish black. That's the idea. I think that's all the yarn I have to unbox. Unbag. So we can bag the bags back up. Well, thank you for hanging out with me and Banrose while we were showing you our new yarn. And even though I saw this earlier today while rinsing, it still looks different when it comes out of the washer, like just a bit different. So it's always fun to see the first look at the new yarn. So thanks for joining me. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the notifications if you want to, and join me Thursday for my next live stream, and probably Saturday after this. Sunday is just not working, so we're probably going to switch to Saturday live streams. But yeah, what else do I say? It's time to goat by.